Hi guys, today I am going to be talking to you about the much anticipated by me sci-fi action indie film Looper. Looper is something that came on my radar about 6 months ago when I saw the trailer. I hadn't heard anything about it before, and I thought, fucking hell, this looks really good. This looks like, well, like I said, it looks like an independent sci-fi action film, something that could actually be really good. With the lead role played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I think is rising, like Leonardo DiCaprio is, to be one of the better actors of our time. For me personally, we haven't had anyone of my generation really, who looks like they're going to have some staying power. Somebody's going to be around for a long time. DiCaprio a little bit older, like maybe a decade before me, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt is really showing recently that he has got the credentials to last a long time and to perform in some amazing stuff. He got his break really in Third Rock from the Sun, and I remember watching that when I was a kid and enjoying it and thinking it was good. But you don't assume that that guy's going to go on to be a brilliant actor. But he has proved it in recent time. In big films, it has to be said, for the most part. So we're talking about stuff like Inception, Dark Knight Rises, but obviously he's also been in things like Brick, which is also directed by the director of Looper, and Mysterious Skin. He's been in a lot of other films as well, where he was very cool. But anyway, let's get back to Looper. It's directed by a guy called, it's either Rian or Rian Johnson, and it stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bruce Willis, Paul Dano, and Emily Blunt. And the plot is such, most of you probably know it. It's a very cool idea. In the not too distant future, in about 20-30 years time, there are this crew of outlaw assassins known as loopers, and their job is to execute people who are sent back through time by the mob of the future. So the mob in 2070, I believe, send back people that they need assassinated. They send them back to 2040, and these loopers take them out, blow them away. And this has all been instilled and put in place by this guy called Abe, who came from the future, and used time travel to arrange these assassinations. But what has also started happening now is that the loopers, that's what they call the loopers, these assassins, are ending up having to kill themselves eventually. So their future self gets sent back from the future, and they have to kill them, which means that they then have 30 years of their life remaining, if that, and then they will die in the future. It's a very interesting concept. They get money, so when their future self is sent back, they kill them, and they get these, like, bricks of gold, I suppose they are, and they can trade them in for cash, and then they can then go on to live a very rich life for the next few decades, what they have of their life. It goes without saying that Bruce Willis is Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the future, and the film explores what happens when Joseph Gordon-Levitt lets Bruce Willis go accidentally, and they have the two of them, his future self and himself, in the same timeline. Now, not a hell of a lot is given away with regards to plot in the trailer, and not a lot has been given away outside of that, as it is. It's a very stylish film, it's a very cool film, it's a very slick film, but it's also got this real indie feel. The acting is absolutely superb, and the emotions are really cool. It asks some very interesting questions, because it's hard to not give things away, but I'll try not to. Basically, Bruce Willis has been sent back. He's aware of the fact that they tried to kill him in the past. He's aware of the fact that that younger self is him when he comes back. But something very bad has happened to him just before he was sent back through time to be assassinated, and he now aims to change that, stop that from happening, by doing something in 2040. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, his younger self, doesn't believe that what the older version of himself is telling him, and there's a sort of cat and mouse chase, but at the same time there's a little bit of understanding there. It's very well done. It's not entirely clued up. Now, the trailers make out like it's a kind of action sci-fi film which is slick in the vein of Matrix and whatnot, but it's actually not. It's nothing like the Matrix. In fact, it actually leaves behind the sort of sci-fi action feel after the first 3/4 of an hour, and goes into a whole new arena, a whole new territory that I wasn't expecting. It goes into the horror realm almost. Again, without giving out too much away, it's a little bit like The Omen, a little bit like Children of the Corn and Firestarter. And I won't say too much more than that. But there is one very major plot point, which encompasses the whole movie, which isn't given away in the trailers or in the plot synopsis, so I'm not going to spoil that for you now, but it lends itself really well to the plot and the story. The whole thing, I want to say that it met my expectations. It didn't, because I expected a totally different film. That's not to say it wasn't good. It met my expectations of a different kind of film, which was nice. It was a really nice surprise, and I purposely tried to stay away from as much detail about the story as I could before I saw it. The acting is really good. I haven't seen Bruce Willis in a good film, in a leading role, fairly leading role, since Unbreakable. And I checked, I went through the whole IMDb list, and there wasn't anything that I could see that had actually really struck me as a good Bruce Willis film, where he plays a significant character in it, up until this. So I'm glad that he's come back and he's done something good with himself. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, as I say, is improving all the time, and the makeup effects that they did on him to make him look like a younger Bruce Willis are outstanding. From what I've heard, it's a bit of prosthesis and a bit of CGI. But you couldn't tell. It's all in the chin, the nose, and the wrinkles in the forehead, much like what I've got at the moment. And it really does look like him. There's a scene where the two of them are in a cafe and they're sitting opposite from each other, and they are like a mirror image, particularly the nose. It's really well done. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is unrecognisable as the sort of young, fresh-faced Blake that we saw in Dark Knight Rises. It's a totally different role for him. Overall, the direction is really good, really brilliant. Visually, it's amazing. The way the story is paced is pretty good. It sort of loses itself. It drops out for about 15 minutes in the middle, which is unfortunate, because I would love to give this a 10 out of 10. But I am going to have to give it a 9 out of 10, just because it dropped and dipped a little bit in the middle. I loved it, but it slipped into a little bit of conventionalism once. This doesn't give anything away, but if you've seen the film, once younger Joe gets to the barn and everything that happens at that barn and farmhouse area, it kind of dips with regards to his relationship with Emily Blunt's character there. There's something that I just don't buy about it. But then the plot from there on really ramps up and picks up towards the end, particularly with regards to that element which has been hidden from us in the trailers and the synopsis so far, and the conclusion that comes from that. I'll be interested to see what other people think about that. I thought it was brilliant, really good. It picks it up towards the end, and it really leaves you thinking. And the questions that it asks are basically, how far would you go, and how far is it right to go, and what does it take for you to, to compromise your morals in a way, I suppose. How selfless and selfish can you be at the same time? Interesting question, which I can't talk too much, unfortunately, about without spoiling too much more. But I would advise people to rush out and check it, because it is great, and it is not what you would expect. I do think that some people are going to be disappointed by it, particularly if you are looking for a very sci-fi actiony film, because all told, there's not a hell of a lot of sci-fi in it. There's definitely not a lot of special effects in it, and it's not too gruesome or bloody either, so it's not an all-out action. It's quite evenly paced, and I think it's all the better for not having so much action all the way through, because when you do get those moments, they're all the more poignant. Go and check it out for yourself. I can't talk about this film too much more, because I'm scared that I'm going to spoil something for you guys. Really check it out. It's a brilliant film. Apart from the slight pacing problem in the middle, I would love to give this 10 stars, but I'm looking forward to what this director does in the future, and I'm also looking forward to what Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to do in the future, because this guy is really starting to impress me now, and I'm very pleased about that, because we need more actors of our generation to come to the fore and actually perform well, and he's doing that. So kudos to them, kudos to all involved. Really good film. Leave your comments below, let me know what you thought about it. Be interested to see. There's been a bit mixed bag of reviews that I've seen at the moment on YouTube, but yeah, my review is pretty glowing, pretty positive. Really enjoyed it, and will certainly be getting the Blu-ray when it comes out on the opening day. Thanks guys, take care.